organize my thoughts properly. Hello everyone, welcome back to Everyday Kelly. My name is Kelly. So before I get into the video, I just wanted to take this opportunity to recognize that I recently just passed 100 subscribers. At the filming of this video, I'm at 103, and I'm just so excited. And I just wanted to thank every single person who has subscribed to my channel, anyone who has ever watched any of my videos. Um, it's been a long year and a half to get to this point. And making videos is a lot of work. It may not seem like it, but it's a lot of work. And I wouldn't still be continuing to do this if it wasn't for all of you out there who are, like I said, watching my videos and subscribing to my channel. So I just really wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. So let's get into the topic of today's video. This is a little bit of a different video for me. I don't ordinarily make story time type videos or like videos of more of a personal nature, but I really just felt like I really wanted to make this video. Now, recently I had the opportunity to go on a business trip with my husband, and we went from Toronto, where we live, to a small town in South Carolina. And this video is all about my horrible, terrible, nightmarish travel experience with American Airlines. So traveling from Toronto to South Carolina, unfortunately, there is no direct flight. It's just not a popular enough route to have a direct flight. So when we were booking our flight, we knew that we were going to have a stopover. We decided to choose American Airlines. I have never flown with American Airlines. But we decided to choose American Airlines because their fare was a little bit cheaper than some of the other airlines. We also were advised to try not to have a layover in Atlanta, as Atlanta is a very large airport. And so we were kind of trying to avoid that. And so once again, that was one of the reasons why we decided to go with American Airlines. So for this flight, it was about a 2-hour flight to Charlotte, North Carolina. And then from there, another hour flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Savannah, Georgia, which from there we were then going to drive to the town that we were going to be staying in South Carolina. So the day of our departure comes, everything is all set. We head off to the airport. Everything at the Toronto airport actually was really great. I was kind of concerned from a lot of the things that I've been hearing about people traveling through Toronto's airport, but actually everything was great. We got through security, we got through customs very quickly. Once we got through customs, we checked the board just to make sure that our flight was still on time. It was at that point. This was in the afternoon, and our flight was leaving at 7:15 in the evening. So we go and we find a seat, we locate our gate, everything is fine. At this point, we still have quite a few hours before our plane takes off. I decide to go to the washroom. When I come back, my husband's very upset. He's checking the American Airlines app and he's seeing that our flight is delayed. Okay, so now this means that there is the potential for us to not make our connection in Charlotte, North Carolina, because it was maybe only about an hour layover, which ordinarily would be enough time. However, with the delayed flight, there was a chance that we were not going to make it. So eventually we're waiting and we're hoping that things are going to work out. The flight comes in. So the reason why our flight was delayed going out is because the incoming flight was delayed. And so finally our flight comes in. they can't let the passengers off the flight right away because they don't want to let too many people out into the customs area. So that's okay. They didn't get off for about 25 minutes to a half hour. We get on the flight, everything went okay. However, we still missed our connecting flight once we got to Charlotte by about 10 minutes. So at this point, I'm freaking out a little bit because this is something that's never happened to me before. We actually have never taken a flight where we have to have a connecting flight. So at this point, I'm kind of freaking out. I'm starting to realize that we're going to be stuck in Charlotte for the rest of the night. And so we decide to go to the American Airlines desk. There was quite a long lineup. At this point, you know, we were so naive. I'm thinking right now, just recalling everything, we were so naive at this point. But so we wait at the desk. We're trying to decide what we're going to do. Should we still rebook a flight for the next day? Should we maybe rent a car and just drive from Charlotte? Because it was maybe only about a 3.5 hour drive from where to where we were going. At this point, we were just trying to figure it all out because we hadn't had this happen before. So we finally get up to the desk, and basically they just said because it was air traffic, there's nothing that they can do for us. And the only thing that we can do is rebook our flight for the next day. So we let the woman know. We asked her, okay, where's the baggage claim? Because at this point we're thinking, okay, we're just going to claim our bag and we're going to rent a car and we're going to go and we're going to just drive and just get to where we need to go. So the lady at the desk doesn't tell us anything to the contrary. She just says, okay, you're thinking about driving, that's fine. So we go to the baggage claim. Apparently, everybody goes home at 10:30 at night working for American Airlines, so we can't claim our bag. They automatically reroute it to the next flight the next morning, which we're not even going to be on at this point because we couldn't even get on the very next flight in the morning. We had to rebook for a little bit of a later flight in the afternoon. So, of course, at this point, I'm very upset. I'm crying. We don't know what to do. We're having trouble with our phones. We're having trouble getting connected to the airport's Wi-Fi. We haven't yet activated roaming on our phones. So we kind of feel like stuck. Eventually, I do notice, luckily, where we're sitting, a courtesy phone off in the distance that can connect you to local hotels. So we tried one. It was a little too expensive for us, so we tried another one. Luckily, it was a decent price. The guy said, just go up to where the shuttles are and someone will pick you up. So we went upstairs, and the funny thing to kind of mention at this point too is there were a lot of people. This was about 12:30 at this point, 12:30 at night or 12:30 in the morning. And there were a lot of people in similar situations around the airport at this point in time. And once again, just thinking back on it, I'm thinking how naive we were to just kind of think that this was just something that happened. So finally the shuttle comes, we get on. There was another family and another lady with her son who got on that shuttle who similar things had happened to. And as we're driving now at 12:30 at night, Charlotte, North Carolina, I'm sure it's a lovely city, but it's a little scary when it's a different country. It's a city you've never been to. You don't know the people. You don't know where to go. You don't know the area. But we're driving. The shuttle driver was very nice. He, once again, in hindsight, so silly. He was just talking about how he's very sorry that this happened to us and that sort of thing. So it should have clued in that maybe there was some kind of issue with American Airlines at that point. So we get to the hotel, everything was fine. We got a room. Luckily, we didn't have our bags, but that was okay. I was smart enough to know to always pack a little bit of a change of clothes in my carry-on, and I was lucky enough that I actually had a night dress there. And so at that point, my husband was able to get on the phone, rebook us for the next day at 12:45, and we were actually able to get a little bit of sleep. We wake up the next morning, get the shuttle back to the airport. Once again, the shuttle driver just kind of relating what he's probably been seeing, just telling us that, the airlines make billions of dollars. We shouldn't let them get away with this type of stuff. So now, I'm starting to think he must see this thing a lot, especially in the last little while. Get to the airport, it's very busy. Um, and it takes us about an hour and a half to get through security, but it was going pretty fast. Another funny thing to note at this point too is that going through security, I actually had to be physically searched not once but twice. The ladies who did it were very nice, but I just thought it was funny because I didn't have anything on me. I was wearing leggings and a t-shirt. And I didn't have any pockets, didn't have anything in my pockets, but they must have been detecting something on my clothes to actually have to physically search me twice. So that went okay. We got on our flight, got to Savannah, everything was okay. Our bag had actually been there since the morning, so at least that was lucky. We got our rental car, which was beautiful, brand new SUV, had never been driven. So all of that went okay. So we get to our destination. Everything is fine. We're there for about 5 days or so. Now forward to coming home. So we get to the Savannah Airport and everything goes nice. Everybody is nice. We get our boarding passes. We check our bag. Everything is okay. We get through security pretty quickly. We get to our gate. Another thing to mention too is I was physically searched again, going through security again. I don't really know what was going on, what they were detecting on my body, but so I had to be physically searched again. We get to our gate and we're sitting there for a little while. And when we start to notice like all of the gates around us, all of the flights are delayed and all of them are pretty much American Airlines. I don't know if I don't know if it's like a hub, but we're starting to notice that a lot of them are delayed. So my husband checks the American Airlines app. I will pause to say that they do actually have a very nice app. It functions very well. But that's beside the point. If you can't keep your flights on schedule, then an app's not going to help you. So anyway, he looks at the app. Once again, our flight is delayed. So we have the fear, once again, that we are going to miss our connecting flight in Charlotte. So this time he was smart. He went in the app. He was very easily able to rebook us for a little bit of a later flight, our connecting flight to Toronto. And we were able to choose our seats and all of that. So that was okay. So we get on the flight, we get to Charlotte once again, and we're sitting there at our gate, and the flight keeps getting delayed. They keep changing gates on us. The flight is delayed. At this point, we were supposed to get home at 6:30 in the evening on a Sunday. Our flight just kept getting delayed until, fast forward to 11 o'clock at night. Our original flight was supposed to take off from Charlotte to Toronto at something like 4:30 in the afternoon because we were supposed to be home by 6:30. And by 11 o'clock at night, we were still sitting in this airport. And finally, we get on the flight at about 11:15. Everybody gets on, and we're sitting there and we're waiting. And the pilot comes on and he says, "I have bad news for you folks. We can't fly." So I guess it has something to do with the pilot's hours, and they can only fly a certain number of hours. But then why get us all on the flight? That's what I don't understand. So he tells us a lie and he says, um, you're going to have to get off, and we're going to try and find another crew to take the flight. As soon as the last person comes off, they cancel the flight. So once again, we wait in this long customer service lineup. And once we get to the front, at this point, I'm very distraught and I'm crying. Right now, I'm calm talking about it because it's been a while since it happened. But at the time, I was extremely upset. I was very tired. I had been up since 7:30 in the morning. I just wanted to get home. And basically, there was nothing that they could do for us. They couldn't give us a hotel room. They couldn't really give us anything. And then, kind of as an afterthought, the woman who was helping us eventually did give us a couple of meal vouchers for $12 each. But that was just because I was crying, and I think she felt bad about it. But we tried to use them the next day, and one of them didn't work. So that's basically all we got for having our flight delayed pretty much all day, and then having the flight canceled and having to wait in the airport once again all night for basically like 10, 11 hours till our next flight. We were lucky enough to get on the 9 o'clock flight the next morning, but it was a long night, let me tell you. Being in an airport all night, being extremely exhausted but not being able to sleep, being extremely freezing because it was so cold in there because it's so highly air conditioned, and I was only wearing a tank top and leggings. I tried to sleep, but I was shivering too much, and it was just a very, very, very long night. Come the morning, once again, like I said, we tried to use the vouchers, only one of them worked. So we're starving, we're thirsty, and not to mention I don't want to say dirty, but I mean, we've been hanging around an airport for pretty much almost 24 hours at this point. I am just really at the point where any other small little thing could make me break. So as if nothing else really could happen on this trip, I go to the washroom very shortly before our flight is ready to board. At this point, I'm still not even convinced that this flight is going to take off on time, and I'm very skeptical that I'm ever going to get home. And so I go to the washroom, I wash my hands, I use the paper towel, put it in the garbage, I'm sitting down, and I notice that my ring is gone. So I start freaking out. I immediately start bawling. My husband's like, "It's okay, just go check the washroom." So I go in there. Luckily, the lady who cleans the washroom was there. And I was just like, "Ma'am, can you please open up this garbage for me? I think I lost my ring in there." So she opens it up and she's going through the paper towels, and I see it sitting right there. And I just start screaming, "There it is! There it is!" And I grab it and I put it on and I just thank her. But then I have to go because our flight's going to start boarding soon. So, ma'am, if you are watching this video, which I highly doubt, but if you are, the lady who works in the Charlotte, North Carolina airport, thank you so much. So I go back, I sit down, I'm just bawling my eyes out because at this point, I'm once again just so exhausted and just so hungry and just wanting to go home, and I'm just sick of the whole thing. And to top it all off, I'm really starting to have a little bit of a negative feeling about getting on this flight because once again, I'm just thinking like so many things have happened on this journey and I just didn't feel good about it. But luckily, we get on the flight and everything was smooth. Everything was actually really great. And finally, we got home. We were up for about 32 hours straight, and it was not a fun experience, let me tell you. Now, keeping in mind, this is just my perspective of this experience. I am fully aware that there are people who experience these kinds of things all the time, or people who have experienced worse things. At the end of the day, I am really just happy that we got home safely. But I don't feel like this type of thing should be happening on a regular basis. And based upon what I observed in this whole situation, now in hindsight, it's happening a lot. And I don't know if it's happening with other airlines. I don't think it is because I know a lot of people who have traveled with different airlines in the last month or so, and their travel experiences have been completely fine. Um, I know that there have been some staff shortages, and more particularly shortages with American Airlines. But why are they still booking flights when they don't have the crew to fly these routes? So that they're still booking the flights and they're still taking the money and then delaying people or canceling flights and just making people rebook. I lost a day of work on the Monday because I was supposed to be at work Monday morning and I didn't get home until Monday afternoon. So I lost a day's pay because of this whole business. And not to mention the emotional and the mental stress and anxiety that it caused for not just us, but a lot of people, because there were a lot of people who were in the same situation, people with children, elderly people, and it's just ridiculous. It should not be happening. It's one thing if it's weather related, like unforeseen things or mechanical that, they have to fix something with the plane. Those types of things you can't plan for. But when you are planning flights that you don't have the staff to cover, yet taking people's money is just completely unacceptable in my opinion. We do have a claim in with them, so we will see how that goes. But we are going to fight it because they do have some um, things in their fine print that kind of mention compensation for delayed and canceled flights. So I just want to say, if this ever happens to you, make sure you look into those kinds of things because it should not be happening on a regular basis. Anyway, that was my nightmare experience flying with American Airlines. Needless to say, I will never be flying with American Airlines ever again. I will fly pretty much almost any airline other than American Airlines. Let me know in the comments if anything like this has ever happened to you. I hope you somewhat enjoyed this video. I hope that it has given you a little bit of insight or a little bit of information if you are looking to book a flight anytime soon. Or like I said, if anything like this has ever happened to you in the past, maybe listening to my story can kind of give you a little bit of comfort. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see videos, maybe not similar to this, but more similar to my usual content, please don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you very soon in my next video.